We're going to start today. I'm going to invite up Annie Kelly, who is our student assistance counselor, and she's going to discuss the vaping panel that we have, which is upcoming next week. So, Annie?
Hi, good morning. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Annie Kelly, a student assistance counselor here. I represent a program outside the school called Student Assistance Services, and there's counselors like myself in a lot of Westchester schools. Chris asked me to speak a little bit about this vaping panel that we have coming up next Thursday night. So I can tell you a little bit about it and promote it here so you can spread the word to your networks. So we all know that vaping and e-cigarette use has become a national problem amongst our teens, and so we want to address it as a school to get information and education out there to parents to hopefully turn the tide and prevent more e-cigarette use. Other schools in the county have had forums at their schools. Pleasantville has had one back in September. Chappaqua is doing one too, so we want to be a part of that. So next Thursday night in the theater, we are having a panel discussion sponsored by us, Student Assistance Services, and our own North Castle Coalition. I'm going to be on the panel. Judy Mezzi from Student Assistance Services is going to be, and Dr. Stumacher, who is a pulmonologist at Northern Westchester Hospital. So it's going to be the three of us. Chris is going to moderate, and we're going to have a three-prong approach to the problem. Judy's going to speak about what they are, kind of have a show and tell so you can see the paraphernalia, the language that all of our kids are aware of, what it looks like, where you can find them, all that kind of stuff. The doctor is going to speak about all the health risks and reasons why parents and we should all be concerned about it. And then I'm going to speak to parents about what you can do, tips, how to communicate best with your teen, how to get educated on the subject. So we're going to kind of come at it from that with some question and answers. And so it's 7 p.m. in the theater next Thursday night. So we just encourage you to spread the word.
Any questions about the panel or about any of those vaping issues that are coming up? Yes?
Quick question. Are the children going to ever get some type of assembly on it, on the dangers?
Yes, we are working with Doug Carpenter, our health teacher. We're working, trying to do through our Wellness Day, and with Annie Kelly to get the information out there.
Okay.
But believe me, they can teach us much more than we can teach
I
them.
mean, like
at
the
this point.
dangers and stuff. 'Cause I mean, I'll go back and scare her a little bit, but
If you go out there and ask any kid right now, they'll all tell you about popcorn lung.
okay.
Which is, we're at the ground floor of this vaping. We really don't know about it. And you look back to cigarettes, it was only about, 40 years ago, which is, 100 years into cigarette use, where the real dangers started to come out and to come to light. And we're probably about, I would say, just within 10 years.
Within 10 years.
Within the last 5 years, it's really ballooned, where that's a relatively short time for these dangers to really come out. So.
Any other questions? Also, if anything comes up or you want to ask a question not in this forum, I'm always available as a resource for you to call. You can speak to me about anything trend you see going on in the community. You can ask me questions about e-cigarettes and vaping or anything like that, so you can spread the word. Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking about it this morning on the ride in. I remember in high school, in my high school, there was a smoking section, and I remember the companies for whatever it was. Every couple of weeks, you'd see a kid come in with a new leather jacket or like a hat. I remember the companies used to. You had like the Marlboro Bucks, and companies will do whatever they can to get the kids in. Whether it's offering free merchandise, whether it's changing the devices to make them look really cool or more innocent, but they are doing a very good job on getting our kids in again, and it's something that we all need to be very wary of. It's scary. All right, so now for the fun portion of today's meeting. We've been in really discussions about the prom and about the way our prom is conducted for a number of years. When I took over, it was really one of my goals, long term, to really move it out of New York City and to really get it to be somehow closer to Byram Hills, to somehow maybe include the school a little bit more, and to really make it more inclusive for all of the students who are attending. If you look at it, prom is the second to last thing that they'll do together. They'll have graduation rehearsal and graduation, and then that's it. This is the last time, really, when they're getting together, just to really celebrate being a class and having gotten through 13 years of Byram Hills together. So, looking at it, Chris Passari and I, when I was his assistant, really started to look at other schools and what they were doing. And the overwhelming majority of other schools, they use coach-provided buses and they take students to and from the prom. We are in the really, really very small minority of schools that allows our own students to get themselves to the prom and then back home. We don't have any control over a lot of the things that really scare me as a principal and as a parent. We have buses and these companies who get lost. They have no idea where they're going. We have drivers who accept tips to look the other way sometimes, or just drivers who are inept that would not even consider that high school students would do such things. We have companies that have not been vetted. We don't know that they're fully insured. Most students do their own planning, and the parents, they just provide the funding because we have very responsible kids. We trust that they're making the right choices. The other aspect that I really was never comfortable with is that once the prom is over and the students disembark from the yacht, they're on their own in New York City. And here it is Saturday night, New York City at 11 o'clock, and basically holding our breath that they're going to get home and that everything's going to be all right. The reasons for us to hold the prom on the boat are no longer as relevant. Back when this was initiated, the real push was the Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. And the idea was that if we could get all the students on the boat, that we wouldn't have to worry about them going out to their cars, sneaking alcohol, and then coming back into the venue. So with all of the students on the boat, the one thing it really does offer us is that we don't have to worry about them while they're there. They're really there. We have eyes on them for those 3 hours. Saturday night in New York City to host the prom really does raise the cost quite a bit. The other thing that started to come up more recently are the pre-prom parties. We don't have any control over them, but we know that for some of our students, they're a major cause of stress because they can seem to be exclusionary. This goes with choosing the buses as well. We have a group of, six girlfriends, and they are going to go with their dates, and the seventh girlfriend now is like, what do I do? Hustling around to try to get on a bus. And it creates a lot of stress around something that really shouldn't be stressful at all. So, excuse me. When I went out, I did a poll of different schools, of different principals, and just got their information. So remember, Byram Hills, we do it on a Saturday. Students provide their own transportation, and we do it in New York City. If you look here, and I'll go to the next page, but there are certain trends that we're sort of not in line with in any of these. Pelham, they'll do it on a Wednesday. They allow their students to provide transportation. But what that doesn't tell you there is that Pelham actually holds their graduation rehearsal on Thursday morning at 10 a.m. And then if we go here, again, none of the places are in New York City. None of them are on a Saturday. And you see very, very few are student-provided transportation. So when we're looking at this and we're really taking into account, we are sort of outside of the normal range of what other schools are doing in the district, in the Southern Westchester. Reached out to Greeley as well. Their information is not up there, but I think last year they did it at Glen Isle. they moved it off of where they were doing it. So again, I went out to the seniors. I knew that they were very passionate about wanting to keep it there on the yacht this year, keeping everything the same as it had been. And I wanted to at least get out to them, get their voice on it, and really hear what they had to say. So I sent them an anonymous survey. They all answered, and these were the 12 by order of how they voted. The most important part of prom for them. Number one, being on the same travel vehicle with their friends to and from the prom. That was the most important thing that they thought about in this experience. And you can see there. Food, the least important thing. Yes, the cost second at least, yes. So then again, I proposed to the seniors, I gave them a choice. So I said, okay, if we were to make the students take our buses, what would be your likelihood to attend the prom? So nearly 9 out of 10 said that they would not go to the prom. We're not forcing them, so I wouldn't have to force them to go to the prom. So a little over half said that really that moving it out of New York City was really not a major issue. But they still liked it there. The majority still wanted it in New York City. 3/4 said that they did not want it to move to a weeknight. So you could tell that their defenses were up. They knew something was in the works. So again, moving this down the line. Contractually, we still have a contract with World Yacht and the Duchess, and we also still have it on the district calendar on June 2nd. So those are things that are going to be very, very difficult for us to move this year. So we are going to keep it this year, and we're going to look at this year as a transition year. This will be the last year that the prom is going to be held in New York City, and then years going forward, students are going to have to use our coach-provided buses that we're hoping to partner with the PTSA to use. But what we're also very excited about is we're going to make the experience of coming here to school to get on those buses much more entertaining and much more inclusive than it has been ever.
Why do you not switch them on the bus this year?
This year because we wanted to be sensitive to the seniors and the fact that we are still asking them to go to New York City. So we're asking them to go to New York City, which is, sometimes can be an hour and 20 minutes. Where these other schools, they're really only 20, 25 minutes down the road.
No, I think my question is why are we not providing the bus for them? I'm sure it would be cheaper if you put all these kids on 4 buses rather than everybody get their own.
Well, that seems like to the adults that makes a lot of sense, but to the students, their experience within that bus may be something that they're really looking forward to. Sort of the freedom of getting down there and coming back. We are going to this year provide a complimentary coach bus that'll be free of charge for anybody that's brave enough to take it. I will be on it. And this is where we're looking to make our transition. So we want to make it an event here. The other schools really do a good job of celebrating this as an event. They invite the entire community here. The younger grades get involved, almost making it like an Oscar event, where students are getting dropped off, they're walking the red carpet, we have photographers here taking their picture, and then the voluntary coach bus will be here. We're also going to go out and get a step and repeat, which was new to me. I had to Google it. But it's like at the Grammys when the people stand with their dates on it, and they have their pictures taken. Very nice. Excuse me. We're also going to go out and we're going to give to the parents this year a list of companies that have decided to partner with us and have signed an agreement to abide by our expectations. That is that drivers are not going to accept tips to stop to purchase alcohol for students or to pick up alcohol. Drivers will not accept tips to allow students to drink parents' alcohol that they've taken from the cupboard. They will not turn their eye to any, any medical issue that's going on the bus, so that they really understand what we're looking for. And that information is going to then be sent out to the parents, and parents will have to make that decision whether they want to go with somebody that's off of that, not on that list. Because if they're not on that list, what they're really saying is that they're willing to accept responsibility that there could be some bad things going on in the bus. We are also looking at ways to make it more of an opportunity for students who are not taking the coach provided by the PTSA to come here, regardless of whether they're using that bus or not. So we're going to invite the entire community here and everybody on the prom who is going to the prom to come here. Rather than, they can still go to the pre-prom parties, but we want to really get them in. And we're looking at ways to really entice people to come here. And again, we're going to have a mandatory student-parent prom meeting in May before any of the tickets will go out. So again, we're in this process, looking to hear anybody's feedback about it. I know that I was hopeful this year that we could move it to have it all provided, transportation provided by the PTSA or the school, but we have to be sensitive to where we are right now and moving forward. We do intend to make that switch. Let me see. Are there any questions or comments about that? Anything? Yes.
I'm wondering, I guess it's not just prom related, but I'm curious, it's along the same lines. Instead of prom being always the end all be all, it's like really the only opportunity to ever go to like a dance. Is there a reason the school doesn't do any other kind of, I know it's a big safety issue, but like a homecoming dance or a winter formal or a Valentine's something?
We are always open to doing those dances, and we have been throwing those things out there. But really, ultimately, it needs to come down to the students really having a real interest in it and coming to us with that proposal. When we all look back on our time in high school, and we all had wonderful times at our dances, and I think we would love for our kids to experience that as well. But they're just not coming to us saying that they would be willing to do that. When I first started here, I think there was a dance. It might have been the student assistants provided.
Was it the Dare Dance, or that's your?
It might, yeah. Or might have, yeah.
There was a Dare Dance, but that was at HCC, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really,
They did do, oh, they did.
there was nobody showed up. Nobody came.
So it has to come from like a certain student group?
Yeah, group or just like a great activity board. Like even if the juniors wanted to do something like a spring event, we would be happy to support that.
Who's working on the prom situation that you're doing here at the high school before?
So Dr. Apt is our 12th grade activity board advisor. So she gets the bulk of it. And for her, this has really been, I don't know how many years in a row, but we're trying to get more people involved, and the idea of a prom committee has even come up. Holly Levy has been great with working with me on different ideas. Julianne Wilson-Rentz is now involved, so we're trying to involve more people in the process, other than just Dr. Apt, to leave it to her, because it is a lot. Yes.
Following up on the question before, wouldn't it make sense to try to do the coach buses this year, even though it's in Manhattan, so you kind of transition them slowly into the idea of, doing it here, closer to home and with coach buses for next year? Because it seems like the buses are really where a lot of the bad stuff tends to happen.
No,
I know
it
there were
does.
a lot of issues last year, I know that's a lot of what's, and it was a bus-related thing. So maybe the coach buses this year is a good idea.
Yes, we had, looking into it, and we were comfortable with doing that. But then when we looked into it, and we were just going to, it's almost too much taking them to New York City on that. And I really was fearful in a way that kids would just say, we're not going to the prom, which we're not forcing them, and we don't have to, but it is their prom, it is their experience, and I didn't want to take fully away from that, in this transition. So I understand it, and believe me, I've been debated back and forth with it quite a bit. Yeah, Susan.
Just to kind of add to that, I think I'm thinking what Stacy's saying here. If you're offering one bus and you're trying to do this, it makes sense to make the kids have to take the bus to the prom. Like, and I don't want my kids to have to do something they don't want to do, and I don't want to change an experience, but you're changing it anyway. So to offer one bus and then have other kids take another form of transportation, maybe there's another way to look at it, I guess. I don't know if it's not doable, or you can reevaluate it, or... And also, are the kids on the committee for...
They're on the great activity board, but really what they decide is whether they want chicken or the beef, whether they want French fries or the pasta. They don't really get into the overall the bigger picture things, because it's very easy to do, and we've been doing it for years, and for the majority of our kids it really works out well. And the experience, I think, is something that they really enjoy. Holly?
What if we poll the parents about the buses?
Yeah, I would say
Instead of
that
asking the kids, why don't we ask the parents?
I would be willing to do that, but I think the parents would be sort of in line with me, where they would say, let's get them on the bus.
Right, but the parents, if my kid came, and now I'm not, my kid came to me and was like, no, I have to take a school-provided bus, so I'm not going to the prom, I'd be like, are you kidding me? And don't you think the majority of parents are going to have that attitude?
I would think that they could do that.
So, I mean, the kids saying they're not going to go to prom is 17-year-old kids throwing a temper tantrum. But the 40-year-old parents, who are the ones paying for all this stuff, and really get to make the final decision, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, we revisit.
We can revisit, yes. Yes.
On there it says how you're going to provide a list of transportation companies that have agreed to sign and everything, and then you also have on there that they're to pick up from the high school. Is that going to be conveyed as well to the parents, and so that the parents are they're the ones that are going to tell their children, this is what it is, so here's a list, this is going to be a list, and the transportation, regardless, you want to pick and choose, and the kids have to figure out what bus they're going to be on, that's fine, but it's mandatory that those buses are going to be leaving from the high school, so that you're going to be checking people off then, or is it going to be in May that when they come to the parent meeting that they are given their tickets, and then, if they decide to take their own, free will of transportation, which I mean, I don't get, but they'll just see you at the prom, or are you going to hold off on giving tickets out that they actually have to be at the high school that day of prom to get their ticket, check them off so that we know that they're on a, school,
Right, on the list.
agreed upon contractual type of bus?
Yeah, so I would think that when the letters do go out saying that these are going to be the buses that we vetted, that it'll be clear that they're going to be picking up at the high school. And the other ones, we do have some students whose parents drop them off at the pier. So they do take their own cars down. So it's not everybody that's going to be getting down there with a unique way. So I'm still very open to suggestions. I'm still very open to hearing from parents, and we still have time, right? We're in January. We have 6 months to go. Yes.
I don't think you can take that answer that seriously, that whatever it was, 78% will go to the prom if they can't drive in their own
Well, they'll show us.
car. I think, well then, I just think that it's kind of, obviously, if they have the choice to most kids will say, oh, you know, who want to do their own bus, they will say, oh, I wouldn't go. Because they know it's not of no consequence to them. It's not like they say now, oh, I'm not going. I think
Right.
What they
it's
do
just
is
like
they
a
pay off the bus
protest
driver
dance.
when they're in the prom to get them alcohol. So what,
You know.
taking the school provided buses
No, I
eliminates that.
understand. I think they should just overtake whatever bus school provides. But I think you can't be too worried that the kids are actually not going to the prom. I think that that percentage is not very accurate. I think it's very distorted because of the question.
Yeah, well, look, I did want to get their pulse on it. I did want to get their sense, and it's important that they have a voice, because this is their event.
But the answer says they don't like the idea. It doesn't say they're not
Right.
going.
I know I came in late, but did you talk about the after prom? Because there used to be, there was always the prom.
Yeah, so I did talk about where we have no control over that. Basically, they are,
So this bus would take them there, take them to the prom, and then what about the after prom?
they would come back to the high school, and then they would go off and do whatever they
So
do.
they would have to take this bus to the prom and then back to the high school.
Yeah, so the real drawback for the students on going on our transportation is because after they get off the boat, they rent out a club there. There's a club, Lucky Strike, and they go there, and then after that, they either go out to somebody's house or, you know, wherever they go home. And it's usually between the time when they leave us at 11 o'clock and when they're back up here where things really go south and are really scary for a lot of people. So if we were to say that you're going to be on our buses and you're going to go down and then you're going to get back on and come back up, they would lose out on having the ability to rent that club as a group. And that's something that we don't have any part of. We don't know who's charging the kids. We don't know what's going on there. And it's something that frightens me. Susan?
No, she said that, that's what I'm saying. I think the after part is also what adds to this whole prom situation.
Yep, absolutely. And they even change. They have changes of clothes on the buses.
They usually go to somebody's house in the afternoon.
Oh yeah, it's an experience. That's why they don't want to move to a weekday, because the weekend goes on and on.
It might be interesting to keep it on a Saturday though, because they don't really have Sunday to party.
Yeah, well, you know, like
On
we're,
Thursdays, they party Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
you know, that part I'm not really, I'm not that concerned about. Really, it's the New York City part and student provided transportation that I think I need to see changed in the next, whatever it be, this year or 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is. Mr. Grego?
Chris, is there an issue with the yacht company as far as the length of the contract? Can that be reversed?
We looked into it. We would have had to spend some money to get out of it. Yeah, so we had it for this year, and Dr. Apt is very organized, and she gets these things done right away. But again, I'm very interested in hearing everybody's thoughts on this, and if you have anything on it, please feel free to stop by, shoot me an email. Very interested in hearing about it. All right. So the last thing that I wanted to touch on today were some new electives that the Board of Ed has approved and we're very excited about. So the first one would be yearbook production, and this is actually taking the yearbook and turning it into a year-long course, and we're going to tie in graphic design, journalism, photography, and all of those things that go together to make a yearbook. This is going to be something that we feel is really an authentic experience for our kids, where at the end of the year, as in some other courses, you get to take an exam. This one, you have this document, you have this item that's going to be a part of history of Byram Hills High School. And we're very excited about it. Miss Menashe is going to be teaching that. So a lot of the thoughts that we had this year in terms of our electives were to try to balance out what we were doing last year in terms of the Global Scholars Program, in terms of robotics, AP Computer Science principles. We wanted to make sure that we were giving equal amount and equal light to our fine arts. Jewelry design and metalsmithing. Ms. Carlin will be teaching this. This really incorporates a lot of the STEAM aspects of that, you know, the A in the STEAM, that arts aspect. So it ties in engineering design, metalsmithing. They're going to be using soldering equipment. They're going to be doing a lot of things with science to make these beautiful pieces of artwork. Studio music production and composition too. So this is something that we are actually going to have the kids participate in what it's like to be in a studio, to be making music, and to be publishing music. So this is something that they'll all be able to leave here and feel like they're competent to go into a studio to be able to create something that's totally new and never been done before. Our film cycle is going to be aligned with the Early College Experience Program out of WCC. So right now it's not aligned with any higher institution. Film 100 and Film 125, this will allow students to take those credits and to apply them to any SUNY school, which we've done in some other areas. But this really aligns the curriculum and it aligns what the benchmarks where they will be much better than it currently does. In our phys ed department, we are going to start a Wellness for Life elective. This goes really in line with a lot of the initiatives across the district. We talk about wellness a lot, but this is going to really give the kids the tools and strategies to actually implement it in their lives. Miss Healy, our phys ed teacher, will be teaching that. And then we have our computer science principals TA position opening up. So as you know, we have chemistry TA, we have our computer science TA, and now we're going to be extending it into computer science principals TA. So all very exciting, all moving forward, all focusing on authentic experiences for the kids, and we're very excited about it. So the kids will have the chance to request these, and you know, we're right in the middle of the course request season, so our schedule really runs off of those course requests. So when you have time, make sure that you're having those conversations with your children about what the best courses for them would be. Any questions on those?
I'm not sure if you know that, but in the eighth graders, do you know when they have to choose their electives for ninth grade?
They will, our guy, Dr. McGrath and Mr. Carullo will be actually bringing them up.
They sent out an email, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure of the exact
In
date.
March, maybe.
Yeah, they bring them up and they'll go through that.
I just have a question, with these new classes, experience and materials, does that kind of come with it? Meaning, I know you just said 2 teachers, do they have experience doing these? And you, for example, jewelry design and metalsmithing, I'm assuming you need to have a studio that, you know, allows.
Yes, we are right now in the process of room 326. That's a studio art room. We're working with Buildings and Grounds to get the proper ventilation in there, and that'll be up and running by that point. Miss Carlin, that's one of her passions, is jewelry design, and you know, she on her own does this on the outside. Music production, that is something that Mr. Marwa, our fine arts director, very experienced with, and is working with our teachers to make sure that the experience for them is valuable and that we're prepared for it. You know, it's exciting is a lot of these, when you look what are the curriculums that are out there, we're really on the cutting edge for Wellness for Life. There's not a lot of other courses that are out there. Yearbook production there are, jewelry design and metalsmithing, not a lot. So we're really creating a lot of what these things look like, which is exciting for us because we're modeling risk-taking for our students. All right, is there anything else on anybody's mind that they'd like to discuss? Any questions? Yes?
So I'm assuming that the yearbook class now is gonna take the club yearbook off the table. There will not be a yearbook club anymore?
Very good question. We will still have a club, and it will operate, but at a much less rigorous level. Because right now, the way the yearbook operates is there's probably about 4 to 5 students who are really passionate about it, and they are here all the time. They are super dedicated, they go above and beyond, and it really is a lot on those kids, and a lot on the teacher as well. So the club will still be there. It'll operate, you know, as going out, maybe if they need to get pictures on something to help support the class. But the club will still be there. Good question. Yes.
Last meeting, you discussed the Michigan State, you know, any update, any, on studies that they're doing?
Yes, very good question. We, and I'll touch on our challenge success, which we're gonna go into more next time around. But our Michigan with the math, they have already contracted with people to come in, and they're gonna start working with our pre-calc classes within the next month. They're also gonna be taking our pre-calc teachers and bringing them to different professional development opportunities to get them to come back in to look at the way that they're assessing and to promoting standards-based grading. In terms of the Depression Center with Michigan, we have been having weekly consultations with the Depression Center in order to discuss different student needs that come up. And they have been giving us great support in our cognitive behavioral therapy strategies that we've been using. So all very good. Challenge success as well. They have given us the data has been returned. We're going through it now. Yesterday I had a video conference with Denise Pope and Sarah Beckett Miles to go over our specific school and to see where some things were highlighted for us, which are very interesting, and I don't want to put it out there until we fully have a chance as a steering committee to look into it. But thank you for asking it off. And then, yes.
Do you plan on any electives like more in the like mechanical or electrical engineering side? Because I know that's like big future.
Yes, it is, and we see a lot of those connections with robotics. So robotics ties a lot of those into it. You know, we're always looking to see what's out there. We have our math teachers who are going to be going out to different colleges and universities to look to see how math and engineering is being done on college campuses so that they can bring that back. One of those things may be that we're not doing enough in terms of mechanical or electrical engineering. Our computer science class that's that's been done, that's very big into that as well. Right. So again, next Thursday, looking forward to seeing you at the Vaping Panel if you can make it. And thank you again to Janet Fonte, who's here, for bringing in the coalition to help get that provided. Thank you very much, everybody.